Hey everyone, Alpha Eagle here again. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well, and may God bless you all. This is part tres of Eduardo is a milkshake brain. And if anybody asks why I call him a milkshake brain, it's because he asked me to. In this video, I will be reacting to Eddie's video titled Alpha Eagle made a video about me and am depressed. These people hate cinema part 32. And yes, that is the title. It really does say, and am depressed. I think you mean, and I am depressed, Edward. And it's number 32 in his series titled, These People Hate Cinema, which my debate with him also happens to be number 32. How can they both be number 32? I guess that's what happens when you type while you're drunk. He made a 2-hour video about me. When I make videos about these people, they're about 15 minutes or so, but they make 2-hour videos about me. It's hilarious. Ed is joined by Nothing But Media, and as always, I have nothing against either of them, and I will post a link to their video in the description. They talk about me for 2 hours and make a ton of mistakes, but I would say that the crux of their argument is that whitewashing in movies is bad, but blackwashing is justified, since whitewashing happened in the past, so somehow when they do it, it's okay. The left have a twisted view of justice. They believe that when someone does something bad, it's okay to do that exact same bad thing to them. They think that two wrongs make a right. They think that an eye for an eye is justified. An eye for an eye is not justice, it's revenge. An eye for an eye makes everyone blind. And they can't see that for some reason. Well, let's begin the video.
Problem with this is fucking racist. Let's be real here. Man,
Only people have a problem with this is racist. When black people come out and they complain about race swapping or whitewashing, as they call black characters, oh, they're not racist. But when white people come out and they complain about race swapping characters, oh, it's somehow racist. First off, you can see that even though Eddie claims to be a legal American citizen, he has the Mexican flag behind him. When so-called Americans, regardless of their race, wave flags of other nations, I have to question their loyalty to the United States, especially if you're a leftist. Leftists want to destroy the country or change it into something it's not.
I mean, it's such a for me, it's so weird when it comes to speaking to people on the right, but specifically Alpha Eagle here. It's like you live in a world without context, with like they live with blinders on, and all they see is what's happening right now in front of them. Nothing comes before and nothing comes after, you know?
When he's talking about context, he is saying that white actors played non-white characters in the past. Therefore, non-white actors playing white characters is justified and even righteous because it's fixing the mistakes of the past. One, you can't fix the so-called mistakes of the past. The left claim that the right always want to go back to the past and make things the way they used to be. Yet, it's the left that can't stop thinking about the past. They are obsessed with quote-unquote fixing the past, and they can't move on from it. What happened in Hollywood in the past does not matter, and should not affect the hiring practices of Hollywood in the present. They think that since so many roles went to white people in the past, that there should be less roles for white people in the present. They are morally wrong. Roles should be based on merit and who's right for the part. Hollywood's past shouldn't matter at all. Again, that's not justice, it's revenge. If we all agree that something is bad when someone else does it, it should also still be bad, regardless of the race of the person or what happened in the past. For example, if we all agree that it was bad for white people to enslave black people, then it must also be bad if black people enslaved white people. Therefore, if whitewashing is bad, then blackwashing must also be bad.
It's just reminding me of that girl who said that maybe white people shouldn't go see Wakanda Forever in the first week it's open. Not necessarily a brilliant opinion. It's her opinion. She's entitled to it. But the way that was latched onto and spread across the internet as if everyone on the left is saying this.
As if she was the president of black people.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. Yeah, I mean,
why didn't the left come out and condemn that black woman who told white people to not see Wakanda Forever? I didn't hear anyone on the left say that that woman was wrong. I never hear anyone on the left say that people on their side are wrong.
For me, like when it comes down to it, right? Like he fundamentally misses the point because he doesn't want to acknowledge that stuff like that. Like to me, I believe that a lot of conservatives like think that leftists like sit around all day and are like, what can we make up to? What can we just like make up today? What can we complain about? Like what original idea have we not complained about today that we can make an issue out of? Right? When like it doesn't happen like that.
They do. Leftists are always finding something to be offended by and complain about. They can't leave things well enough alone. They want everything to bend to their will. Some will say, well, the right do the same thing. They will say that the right complain all the time too. We only complain as a reaction to the left's desire to ruin everything. Again, if the left would just leave things alone, the right wouldn't complain.
It came from as a response, right, to like years, decades of seeing white people play Asian historical figures, Mexican historical figures, not black people. I mean, sometimes you have like, like in the case of like the Impossible, right? It was a very dark Filipino family, but in the movie, it's a white British family and all that. So like those kinds of things happen. And really, the reason why we have, I mean, yeah, when we say that like race doesn't matter, to some extent, it's true, right? Like if you take something like, like he wanted to use like Bane being a Latino in the comics and then being a white guy in the movies, that doesn't matter because it's a fictional comic book character, and this is like an adaptation of that, right? Meanwhile, you have like a movie like like The Impossible, right? Or any movie where whitewashing was a problem, where they're very supposedly straightforward. They're like straightforward biopics that get everything right except the race of the person, and that's the issue. Like if you're gonna make some experimental, like super confrontational or satirical thing, sure, it's fair game. The problem is that by default, a lot of biopics are very like reverential and very respectful of everything about the people they're covering, but their race. To me, it's pretty simple.
Again, Eddie is complaining about the past. He's making the "it happened in the past, therefore it's okay when we do it" argument. Also, he is saying that it's okay to race swap fictional characters. Keep that in mind for later. But if it's real people, they shouldn't be race swapped. Yet, Ed has no problem with the musical Hamilton or a series like Anne Boleyn, because leftists are not consistent in their views and are hypocrites.
He said nuance is everything, right? Because we have Whitney Morehouse over here saying Ghost in the Shell was whitewashed by casting Scarlett Johansson from a show in Japanese characters. And when it comes to like stuff like that, I think it really comes down to opportunity, right? Like why it's, I mean, inherently, right? You could use the argument that there's nothing inherently racial about Ghost in the Shell, so there's no reason why you wouldn't when it comes to the story, and that's true. But nuance, once again, right? Like sure, there's something inherently wrong with that. It doesn't affect the story, but she could have been an Asian woman. That would have been more representative, and it would have been more true to the story. Would it have been any better? That's completely, we don't know, right? Because that movie wasn't made.
I said this before in my video, Blackwashing Heroes. Ghost in a Shell was not race swapped. Major Kusanagi is a cyborg and not human, therefore has no race. And even if she did have a race, she would be white, since in the anime movie, she has big blue eyes. Claims that the cyborg, Major Kusanagi, should have been Asian to add diversity, even though the movie was extremely diverse to begin with a ton of Asians in the movie as well as blacks and Latinos, despite taking place in Japan, which is basically an ethno-state consisting of 98% Japanese people, but the facts don't matter to leftists. To be clear, I wouldn't have a problem if Major Kusanagi was played by a Japanese actress. However, Ed's reason to do it is to add diversity to an already diverse movie, and that's absurd. These leftists are never satisfied no matter how much diversity a movie has. And remember, before, Ed said that the race of a fictional character like Bane from The Dark Knight Rises does not matter. But for some reason, in this case, the race of Major Kusanagi, a fictional character, matters to Ed. You see, Ed has zero consistency in his views.
I think ultimately that debate specifically comes down to the fact that that character could have easily gone to a Japanese character, but as has historically been the default, it went to a white character instead. It's about providing opportunity for others, and it comes in line with affirmative action and stuff like that. And I understand why that's not popular and why a lot of people dislike that. But I think fundamentally those things exist as a response to the unfairness, the unfair advantage we've given white people in all other aspects of life up until now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Ed is showing his anti-white racism. He just said that white people were unfairly given more things than other races in America. In other words, it all comes back to revenge for racial minorities in America. He doesn't seem to realize that he's been lied to. He feels that the roles that white people get in Hollywood are unearned because of racism. That can't be further from the truth. It all comes down to math. The reason why white people get the majority of roles in Hollywood is because white people are the majority in America. It's not some grand conspiracy to keep minorities down. It's simple math. The leftists think that movies should be 50% black, 50% Latino, 50% Asian, 50% Arab, and 0% white. One, that's a mathematic impossibility since there aren't 200% of roles to go around. Two, minorities don't seem to realize that they are minorities, meaning that they are way less than 50%. And if they want true equality, there would actually be less minorities in film, not more. But again, they don't want equality. They want revenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And thought process mentions aliens. Obviously, in recent times, there's been some controversy about Jeanette Goldstein playing a Latino woman. But at the time, there was nothing wrong with that. And to be fair to James Cameron, he is an incredibly progressive filmmaker in that respect. Yeah. So I think there's definitely new. You can't just say, oh, this is terrible, he should be cancelled, basically, which is sometimes some people's attitude.
Wow. Their bigotry is showing again. Nothing But Media literally just made the argument that it's okay when we do it. He just admitted that James Cameron whitewashed the character of Vasquez in Aliens, but he said it's okay because James Cameron is a left-wing commie like them. Nothing But Media just admitted that if James Cameron was a conservative Trump supporter, that they would get out their pitchforks and torches and they would cancel him and he would never work in Hollywood again for whitewashing Vasquez. But since James Cameron is a left-wing AIDS commie, he gets a free pass to whitewash any roles he wants. Isn't that amazing?
When you look at the representation in his films as a whole, where yes, she's played by somebody of a different race, but she's an incredibly strong and popular character. She's exactly the type of strong woman that Alpha Eagle here seems to dislike.
Yeah.
Again, Nothing But Media lied. I never said that I dislike strong female characters. I said that I hate the trope of the strong woman, meaning that the trope has been overused in recent years. When the trope of the strong woman has been mocked on South Park, that's when you know that Hollywood has oversaturated the market with them.
Yeah, it's it's the only woman that I've ever heard Critical Drinker ever be fond of, and it makes sense because she looks kind of like a guy. Let's keep watching.
Now they make a homophobic joke about the Critical Drinker. But again, just as Nothing But Media has proven, they think that it's okay when they do it. Anything is okay as long as it's done by an AIDS commie. I can remember, The Last Airbender. A lot of people came out, hey, how come these people aren't more diverse? Well, how come you race swap these characters? What was wrong with that? I mean, were they non-white people who complained about The Last Airbender, were they racist? But see, it's the strangest thing. It's somehow racist.
Do you want to add to that?
Only that people's problem with The Last Airbender was not the race swapping.
Yeah, that's not the problem with that movie at all. Yeah, no, yes, keep watching it.
Racist. Nothing But Media lies again. The race of the cast of The Last Airbender was a huge controversy. There was even calls to boycott the film.
Actually, what I do want to add is like he's asking good questions. He is asking good questions, right? But he's not making any effort to because I mean that discourse is out there. Those podcast episodes are out there. Those YouTube videos are out there. If he wants an answer to that question, it's out there, But instead, he just wants to be like, aren't the left stupid for even asking that to begin with? It's like, well, if you want to really know, if you really want an honest, sincere answer to that question, so you can actually have something to respond to and to analyze, it's there. He's just ignoring it so he can preserve his, playing stupid essentially.
Yes, the answers are out there. But the answers, like his answers, are racist and bigoted answers. Again, it comes back to revenge. White people played non-white people in the past, therefore they feel justified in their racism because they want to take revenge on white people, and they call it fixing the so-called problems of the past.
Yeah, I mean, and again, speaking of Aliens, it's a brilliant film. And the race swapping, or the it's not race swapping. I don't know what you would. I guess the
misrepresentation. Let's go with that.
Yeah, is an issue, but doesn't override the quality of the film or the progressive messaging within the film. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's bad, and you shouldn't do that again. But it's been done, and we take that with the nuance it requires.
Exactly. I mean, overall, James Cameron is a super woke guy, and I've seen all his movies except Piranha and True Lies, and I can say, every single one of his movies are woke as fuck. And
again, they make the argument that James Cameron is an AIDS commie, therefore it's okay when he whitewashes a movie.
look at Aliens, I believe you have Ellen Ripley, who is strong in every single way a person could be strong, man or woman. But you also look at the fact that the biggest asshole in the movie is Paul Reiser's ultra-capitalist character. And he is very critical of capitalism. He's very class-aware. I mean, you could definitely look at Titanic as a classist, like, movie. It's a movie about class and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, he's super woke, he's super political, and he's super unapologetic. That's why his movies are fucking memorable. That's why they're so powerful.
And
that they claim that Paul Reiser is the villain of Aliens because he's a greedy capitalist, and therefore James Cameron is anti-capitalist. But that's their interpretation. However, it can be interpreted completely different. For example, I say that Paul Reiser is simply a greedy person. Capitalism has nothing to do with it. There are greedy people of all sides of the political and economic spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, you could think, I mean, not just that too, but the fact that Ripley is a woman makes the movie so much more interesting. Both Alien and Aliens, and you know, Alien 3, not a fan of Resurrection, but you know, all those movies, like those three movies to me, they're all much more interesting, far more interesting, because Ripley is a woman, right? Like if you look, I'll just say like the ending of Alien, right? Like in the ending of the movie, she's in her underwear and she's in her you know, her tank top and all that. And if you were to put a man in that situation, the stakes wouldn't have been as high, because I mean, you know, call me sexist and all that, but when I see a woman in that situation, I am much more afraid of her than I would be if it were a man.
How dare you claim that women are physically weaker than men? Your side would cancel you for that. But, as Nothing But Media pointed out, you have two shields from cancellation. You're a Latino, and you're an AIDS commie. And as I have proven, AIDS commies get a pass. It's okay when they do it, according to Nothing But Media. And that's about it for this video. I'm Alpha Eagle. God bless you for watching. God bless America. And I pray that Eddie and Nothing But Media get over their racism and bigotry and stop justifying revenge against white people.